Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Here after practice, just after the third week of spring practices at BYU, with defensive end Tyler Batty, a guy who, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit surprised I'm standing here on the practice field with this guy. I figured he'd be preparing for the NFL draft right now, but he's back at BYU. Tyler, let's start with the 3 weeks down, almost out of fall camp. Not quite there, probably getting a little bit trunky, but now I'm sure you are. But just what's kind of the vibe? What are kind of the emotions? What are kind of some of the feelings around this group as you pass the 3 week mark now in spring practices?
I think the biggest thing that I would take away is just the potential this team has. Honestly, it's been a good 3 weeks. We got a lot of young guys. So I would say it's a relatively young team, especially compared to the teams I've been on before. But honestly, the potential that this team has. And so, as we work through spring ball, it's just, realizing that potential and getting guys ready for the fall.
There's a lot of potential on that defensive line in particular with guys like you and John Nelson back. And a name I've heard a lot from a couple of coaches this spring is Logan Latui. Apparently he's doing some big-time work there. Can you kind of give me a trenches view of Logan and kind of what he's been doing defensively?
Yeah, absolutely. Logan's an absolute stud. So he's been with us for a couple of years. And between, kind of some injuries that have kept him off the field, and just kind of being in the shadows a little bit. He hasn't maybe got the most attention, but Logan's been that guy. He's been super solid, super knowledgeable. He's a technician. And so, he's probably a guy that just doesn't get enough love. So I'm glad to hear that he is because Logan's an absolute stud. And I mean, he's been doing what he's been doing for the past couple of years. He's just, getting a little bit more recognition for it now, but he's been doing great during spring ball. And I would say has really been showing out.
I mentioned, and I buttered you up enough now to, I think, feel like to really jump into the meat of this because I mentioned I didn't necessarily expect to be standing here with you after a spring practice at BYU. I honestly thought you maybe headed to the NFL draft. I know you thought about it, you discussed it, you talked about it with a lot of people this past offseason to go turn pro. And so I just kind of wanted to get into a little bit what your offseason was like and what kind of went into your decision to come back to BYU for your final year of eligibility. And maybe wait, get better, develop a little bit more for one final go around. Before I'm convinced you're going to be playing on Sunday, wherever it is, however it works out. So what kind of brought you back for another year, I guess?
Yeah, I think you hit a lot of it. Shoot, man, it was a tough decision. It was super difficult. Just talking with, close advisors and mentors and my wife and family and all that. It was a hard decision, at the end of the day. But realistically what it came down to is I love BYU. I love our coaching staff. I love this defense that we're running. And I think the biggest thing is I had another year eligibility to burn, and I didn't quite want to go out like that, right? I didn't want to go out on a 5-7 season, We've had a lot of success here in the past couple of years, and so I wanted to, at least do my part in giving the next generation of guys the best program to go forward with. And so if I could stick around and help out for one more year and honestly, build a championship team and program here at BYU, yeah, man, I'm all in on that.
I remember seeing you guys back a couple months ago. It feels like an eternity ago at this point in Stillwater at that what turned out to be the last game where you guys had this lead on Oklahoma State. Looked like you were going to pull off this throwing upset, and then obviously Mike Gundy did what Mike Gundy did. Great program out there, but they come back and beat you guys in that crazy overtime game. But watching you guys kind of walk off the field after that, how much does that feeling kind of stuck with you a little bit, maybe motivated you this offseason and during the spring practice session to get better?
Yeah, I think about it every day. Honestly, it made me sick. I think it made a lot of guys sick. Like that was just definitely a brutal way to end the season, and we had so many close calls to end it with another one. Kind of a gut check. And so, guys, I'm not the only one that thinks about it every day, and that is a big part of motivation for us. Is we feel like we can. I know we have a championship culture here. I know we have a championship locker room. It's putting all the pieces together and putting the best team possible out on the field come fall.
You're one of the guys. I don't know if you follow the analytics and the numbers that much, but Pro Football Focus tabbed you as one of the better pass rushers in the Big 12, certainly going into last year. And then I think you had a good enough year, a plenty good year last year to kind of keep you up that notch. What's kind of the next move, sort of your next step? And I don't know if it was maybe something that you talked about with some of the people in the NFL or just coaches around here or that kind of thing. But what's kind of the next piece of your arsenal that you're looking to add for this fall?
It's just kind of that thing, bigger, faster, stronger, and more technically sound. At the end of the day, a little more twitch, a little bit better bend, all those things factor in, and then at the end of the day, win more and get more sacks. Yeah. We came close on a lot of them last year, and so those ones, you just got to close the deal. So got to be a better closer when the time comes, and just getting home more consistently. That'll be a big part of the game plan for this fall.
You got a couple of defensive line coaches, both your position coach Kelly Papinga and then also Sione Pujo with the defensive tackles that were really good at rushing the pass rush and whatnot. What have those guys done to just motivate the defensive line as a whole, and then some of the edge rushers that you're working out with in particular, K-Pop and Coach Pua?
Yeah. Again, the biggest thing, really comes down to your attitude and your effort, right? Like that's the first thing, and then learning all the little nuances, right? The timing of moves, kind of setting things up, the technique that goes into it, your get off, that's the biggest part of the pass rush. You improve that get off, and whether you're interior or out on the edge, it's going to help one way or another. So, it's been awesome. And that's what those guys, reinforce and preach every day. So we can be more productive when the time comes to rush the passer.
I also noticed one of the first days of spring ball, there are a couple new faces that are really good defensive line technicians that are here as defensive analysts. Gary Anderson, former Utah State head coach, and then Chad Chad K.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce his last name very well. Do you work with those guys very much, or are they more with the interior linemen?
No, yeah, we definitely rotate through, and they're definitely there, coaching us up and running us through drills. And so it's awesome to have both them.
But yeah, what kind of a change, what kind of an impact have they kind of made with the program? Just giving you guys maybe a little bit more one-on-one instruction, or
yeah.
What have they done for you?
Yeah, absolutely. The more coaches you have, the more one-on-one instruction that they can give, and guys like them that are super experienced and have coached ball for a long time at a really high level and are both D-line guys. It's huge to have some more perspective, and it just helps you kind of perfect your craft. So it's been huge.
Yeah, for sure. Last question, and I'll get you out of here on this because I got to do some capital J journalism. This is going to come out before Friday's final-ish, kind of like official, even though it's not really the official final day of spring camp, right? But more importantly, Friday's the BYU alumni game, which you've been able to watch for the last couple of years and whatnot. Yeah. How much does that game mean to you on a serious note, and maybe on a less than serious note? Who are you looking forward to watch from kind of some of your heroes in that game and watching what they can do, I guess?
Yeah, man. No, the alumni game's super fun. Just bringing everybody back, and just kind of reinforcing that brotherhood, of just everyone that's played here at BYU. Cause, it really is. And I think BYU is, pretty unique in that way is they take good care of their alum. And I think that's huge. As for guys that I probably need to take a better look at the teams. I'm going to just be completely honest. I know K-Pop played last year. I don't know if he'll play again this year.
Your coach was there fairly recently. So.
Yeah. No, so I think if K-Pop plays again, it's, it'll be fun to see him out there, hopefully everyone stays healthy, knock on wood. But, I need to take a better look at the teams. I haven't went too in depth on that.
So Coach Papinga makes another appearance in that alumni game. Maybe a little bit of edge rusher coach Tyler Batty going to come out on the sideline there.
Hey, maybe. Maybe exactly. Maybe we'll have to switch things up, man. Put my play calling headset on.
I love it. Tyler Batty, now going into his senior year here with BYU. Thanks for joining me, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
You with me? Let's get it, baby. Boys just came back from their mission. We going crazy. Kalani, you got no problems. You could call him Jay-Z. Best fans have been a nation since the 1980s.